welcome back to my channel. As you'll see by the title of this video, it is my fur baby's 2-year gotcha day. Recording this right now, it is Monday, May 18th, and exactly 2 years ago today, I adopted my little fur baby Jack, and it has been the best 2 years of my life.
Oh my gosh!
You happy, boy? Basically, in today's video, I wanted to explain the process of adopting him. I always love hearing about people's rescue stories when they rescue their animals. Hopefully, y'all enjoy. So, the story actually begins on May 17th, 2018. I was actually scrolling through Facebook and I got an ad for an animal shelter that's near us that said they were having a special. All puppies are $85 and all adult dogs are $25. Now, a little more backstory. At the time, I was living in a 2-bedroom apartment with my mom and my, I don't remember how old she was, little sister. And I had literally just quit my toxic job. Basically, I was jobless and living off of my savings account. I see this ad and I've always wanted a dog of my own. So I send the screenshot to my mom and she says, no way, like, we're not getting a dog. We live in an apartment. She doesn't want a dog. Like, no. So I keep going back and forth with her. I'm like, please, like, I'll take care of it. I'll pay for everything, literally dog food, everything. I was also saying that I wanted to get a small dog. I don't think I've said this before, but the job that I quit that was toxic was I was a dog groomer. So I really went into looking for a dog, looking for like a Shih Tzu or something I could groom to practice my grooming and keep up with the grooming skill that I had. So I convinced my mom to let me go look because I was like, what's the harm of looking, right? Like, nothing's gonna come out of it. I'm just gonna go to look. So me and one of my sisters go and we look at dogs. And of course, as soon as we get there, we see puppies.
This is gonna make me cry.
If you've never been to a shelter, basically it's a big open room with a bunch of cages and dogs are just in the cages and you walk up and down the aisles looking for dogs. And on the door of the cage, it says like their name, their breed, if they're spayed or neutered, all the things. We basically said, we'll come back to the puppies if we don't see anything, then maybe we'll talk about it. I saw another dog that I really wanted and he was a male, he wasn't neutered, and he was heartworm positive. He also shed like crazy and he was so hyper. That was another thing that my mom said, that if I did get a dog, it cannot shed and it cannot be super hyper, because at the time my little sister she was pretty young, like she's also a small kid. So my mom didn't want anything that was big, but I fell in love with this dog. Literally, I even talked to the people at the front desk and I was like, this is the dog I want. They let me go in there and kind of like pet the dog, like have the dog get used to me. It was jumping all over me. It was such a happy dog, but it was jumping all over me. It was shedding like crazy, like it was just a mess. And then I found out it was heartworm positive. So I really had to think about it. I'm like, I really want this dog, but like I said, did not have a job and heartworms were gonna cost a lot to maintain, get rid of. I don't really know much about that. And he also wasn't neutered. I'm a big promoter of spay and neuter your pets. I was like, all right, well, let's keep looking for another dog. So we were going up and down. I was still thinking of that dog. We get on the final little row in one of the back cages, and sure enough, my little fur baby was there. He's sleeping on the couch right now. But my little fur baby was in one of the last cages and he was so sweet looking. I actually hate myself so much because I never took a picture of him in his cage. I never did. I don't know why. Ever since I got him, I've wished that I've had like a before I adopted him picture and then an after. I'm sure y'all know what I'm talking about. When I first got to his cage, the first thing I noticed was his size and his age. His age was five or six, and I saw his age, and he's a pretty smaller dog. Like, you can't really tell right here, but I was really scared that I was gonna get a dog and it was gonna grow and be really big because I lived in an apartment. Working for groomers, I learned that you can tell the age by looking at their teeth. So I went in his cage, looked at his teeth, looked at his paws. He's got small paws. His teeth kind of showed that he was 5, I don't know. So when I saw that and saw that he was literally perfect, saw that he was already neutered, didn't have any health problems, I looked at my sister and I was like, this is the one. So we went to the front desk, told them that this is the dog that I want, and they were like, okay. I filled out a bunch of paperwork. They took my driver's license number, like all the things, had to do like a background check on me. And since I lived in an apartment, they needed to call my apartment's office to make sure that it was okay, because certain places, certain apartments, you're not allowed to have certain breeds there, which that's another topic for another day. Basically, they had to make sure that a lab was okay there because that is what he is. And while we were there, we didn't realize that our phones were shut off, like the service was completely gone. So as soon as they were like, okay, we need the phone number for your apartment so we can call them, I looked at my phone, realized I didn't have any service. So we were like, we don't know like our apartment's number. Is there a way we can just go there, have them call you, get it sorted out, like get our phones fixed, like all the things. They were like, yeah, that's fine. We'll put him on hold for 24 hours. Maybe that's what they said, maybe a little longer. So we drove all the way back to our apartment. My sister ended up leaving. She didn't want to have to come back and forth with me. So I left, went to my apartment's office. I gave her the number to the animal shelter. She called the animal shelter, said that it was okay, ended up driving back to the animal shelter. The animal shelter was kind of a ways away from my house. It was definitely pretty far to go back and forth, but I did it anyway. Got my phone fixed, I want to say, so now I had service. So I go back to the animal shelter. They bring him out on this little lead, and he was going back and forth because I'll get into him being super scared of everything in a little bit, but he was going back and forth, freaking out, tail tucked. I'm like talking to him, like trying to get him to come to me, and she's like, okay, it's $25 cash. And I'm like, of course it is. I don't have any cash. I should have planned this ahead of time, like talked about payments before I came to actually get him, but they never said anything. They didn't have any signs anywhere, or they didn't say anything that it was cash only. So I don't know why they couldn't take cards. Maybe their card machines were broken. I don't know. They were like, there's a gas station down the road, blah, 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 blah. There's an ATM there if you want to get some cash. So I was like, yes, I'll be right back. So they had to hold him again. I can tell they were like a little frustrated, but at the same time, they never really told me this information. Got the $25 cash, went back, finally got him. Okay, so this part is kind of funny. So they had him on the lead, and they were like, all right, he's all yours. So the woman follows me out there, and she's like going to smoke a cigarette. So she's like by the side door smoking, and my car is like a little bit a ways from her. So I opened my passenger door. I had a really tiny car at the time, so it was super easy for him to get in, but I'll get into it more in a minute. He was very, very anxious about everything. He was super scared. So trying to get him in my car was a time. I was by myself. The woman was over there smoking, like awkwardly watching me, but I was trying to get him in my car. I was like, come on, come on. I had to pick him up. His poor tail was tucked. He was shaking. I had to pick him up like lightly. I wasn't being super rough with him, and set him in my passenger seat. And then the woman goes, is everything okay? And I'm like, yep, got it, got him in the car. So I shut the door and I get in with him. On the way home, I had to take the interstate, and y'all know the interstate has like bridges, you know, like every now and then there's a bridge. Well, my poor Jack, anytime we would go underneath the bridge, he'd be like sitting like this, and then a bridge would come and he'd duck. And then he'd be fine. He'd kind of look behind him, but then he'd be fine, and then another bridge would come and he'd duck. Like, he was so scared of everything. For the longest time, he wouldn't even stick his head out the window. Like, he was so scared of, I guess, the wind. At the time, Justin and our dog, now Shadow, lived with Justin's parents, and his parents' house was on the way to my apartment. So I really wanted Jack to meet Justin and Shadow. I get to Justin's house, and he gets to meet Shadow. And honestly, it was just love at first sight. Okay, probably not really, but they have been BFFs ever since. After that, Justin came with me to the apartment to get him all situated at home. Another one of my mom's rules where he wasn't allowed on her bed or the couch. Well, what do you know? As soon as I open up the apartment door, Jack runs and jumps on the couch. We could not get him off. So we were like, okay, well, let me just get a sheet. So I just got a bed sheet and laid it across our couch. It was actually a twin size bed. Don't judge. But, so yeah, we laid the sheet across the bed and we just let him sit there for a long time. We didn't want to force him to get off the couch, you know? We didn't want to force him to do anything that he didn't want to do because he was scared and unsure of everything. So yeah, a little while later, my mom and my sister showed up at the house to meet him for the first time, and my little sister started crying when she first met him. It was so cute. And my mom fell in love, and he was just the sweetest boy. I got really nervous because anytime you rescue a dog, you don't really know how they will act in certain situations. When they're nervous, you don't know if they'll bite, you know, like, so I was really nervous when my little sister ran in and hugged him. I was like petting him and I was like, it's okay. But he did perfectly fine. My mom was hugging him and he did fine. You can tell he was still scared. But that night he slept in my bed, and ever since then he has been a little cuddler. Yeah, that's the story of how I got him. Now, I just want to talk about how he's improved so much ever since I got him. Like I mentioned, he was so scared of everything when I first got him. His tail would constantly be tucked. He'd be scared of bridges on the interstate. He wouldn't stick his head out the window. Anytime I'd take him in public, he would do this number and like go back and forth, and his tail would be super tucked, and he'd just be so scared to be in public, especially taking him to the pet store. He would nervous poop all the time. Like, he was just so scared of everything. But now he's still kind of a scared boy. Like, if I take him to the pet store, his tail will be tucked for the first little bit, and then he'll be fine. He loves sticking his head out the window. I remember the first time I saw him stick his head out the window, I literally cried, and it's so cute because he's got these big floppy ears, so anytime his head is out the window, his ears will just like flop in the wind. Unfortunately, he doesn't play with toys. He won't play with balls or anything. I remember when I first got him, I was trying so hard to get him to play with toys because I really wanted a dog to like play fetch with, blah, blah, blah. But he does not play with toys. Now he kind of will. If he sees another dog playing with it, he'll just pick it up and that's about it. If I throw a ball, he'll go and get it, but he'll like pick it up in his mouth and then just drop it and run back to me. But he loves running around. He will chase any dog playing as long as we'll let him, really. He's still a super cuddly dog. It's so funny because Justin says all the time that it's weird that I got Jack of all dogs because Jack is such a weird dog, and Justin says that he's just like me and he loves to cuddle and he's so weird. I can't explain how he's weird. He's just weird. Sometimes he'll lay on his back with his paws in weird positions. I don't know how to explain it. Should have mentioned this, but when I first got him, he didn't know a single trick. He didn't know how to sit. He didn't know how to shake. Like, he just wasn't taught any of it, but he learned how to sit so fast, like literally so fast, and then lay down came soon after that. It took us a really long time to get him to shake because he still to this day does not like anybody touching his paws. He's gotten a lot better with it, but he will not let anyone touch his front paws. He doesn't bite or like growl. He just, anytime you go to touch it, he'll like quickly pull away. Like, he doesn't like it. But yeah, that is the story of how I got my first child. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you have a rescue story of where you adopted a dog, definitely leave them in the comments down below. I would love to read them. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below. I post a new video every Tuesday and Friday, and there's always dog content in all of my vlogs. So thanks for watching.